down by the river, the Banana River to be exact, on Merritt Island in Brevard County on Florida's East Coast. A couple weeks ago, I shared my Space Coast beach hopping video. I had mentioned that I had a lot of additional footage in this area from what I featured in that episode, and that I'd share it in a midweek video with you. So here it is. Hello, my name is Roxanne. Florida Beach Walks is my fairly new YouTube channel, and I absolutely love going to the beach and shelling and sharing a weekly video on most Sunday evenings, and I drop a midweek video here and there outside of those beach walks. Please consider subscribing if you'd like to see more content like that, and thank you for all who have subscribed and supported me with your viewership. All right, I was here with my friend Chalet, completely impromptu on this particular afternoon, wanting to show her the crown conchs that I have found here before, and we were so happy to find the river still and calm and the water was clear. It happened to be a negative low tide, which is always a plus. It was the perfect condition to explore more of this area that I hadn't before, because it can get really choppy and pretty foggy, the cloudiness in the water, so you can't really see much. We looked at shells in the water and we searched for minis that were washed up in piles and I was completely shocked to find wentletraps. Like, what? Here? By the river? I had been wanting to find these little boogers for so long. Thinking that for the most part I had to go like over to the west coast to Marco or Sanibel, and I can't believe that I found him here, of all places, by the river in my own backyard. And it was fun finding those together with her here on this day. Completely surprised. Towards the end of this video, I'll show you all the wentletraps so far that I have found here, along with some minis and some footage of the last time I was here. And I stumbled upon, I came back with Chalet, we stumbled upon mating horseshoe crabs. So that was a sight to see. Never seen that. Oh, it was just awesome. This area we're at now is a little ways, let's see, off to the right where I usually access the river. I never ventured out this far around the bend here because the conditions, they just have not been favorable for me to do so. So sandals and all, we hiked up our pants and we headed out to see what we could find. Lots of older shells like you see here with all the moss growing on them, several knobbed whelks, but it was really kind of amazing to see a lot of these bigger shells just washed in here. I guess I didn't take a lot of the bigger shells. I was just sticking to the crown conchs, and I did pick up a few pear whelks, as you can see in my hand from what I've picked up so far. I like these dark crowns. I think they're really pretty. The chocolate ones, the juvenile ones sometimes tend to be that rich dark brown. So that's really pretty. On the beach, I find them more of that caramel color, and they're pretty surf worn. So the river crowns are really nice, like finding them by the river. Look at all these on this side. They are just all over. That's pretty pear whelk. I've never seen so many all clustered up. Oh, here's more. You can see how high the water line really comes out, and in a little bit I'll venture to the right of that mangrove bush out there. Look, they're just moving. Wow. Oh my goodness, it's like a plethora. Wow. Oh, that's so cool. Oh, look at this one. He's like, hello. Yeah, this one is on the move too. Oh, they're so beautiful. Look at their foot. Let's see. The Florida crown conchs, or king's crowns, can be found like this on mudflats near oyster beds and mangrove trees. They can survive for several hours out of the water because they breathe from a supply of water carried within their shell. They also are tolerant of low salinities. Crown conchs are carnivorous, and they prey primarily on small bivalves, using their large black and white speckled foot to pry open the shells of their prey and extend their proboscis into their prey. Their diet can also include other small mollusks, and they do scavenge on dead horseshoe crabs. And I actually have seen that here one time by the river. Their shells can grow in length of up to 5 inches and have 2 rows of those spiky spines on both ends, or just one end, or they can lack a spine, their spines altogether. This species showcases all shades of brown and are often decorated with stripes of creamy white. They also can come in an albinistic variety, which I have not found, and yes, that's on the bucket list. It was so flat. The water was so flat. I'm not familiar with seeing the river in this area like this. All right, this is around the last little bend or curve that I'm gonna check out. It's near, like, there's a bunch of rocks over here. You'll see in a little bit. There's some little, let's see, what do we call those? Minnows? Little tiny bait fish or something in the water there. It's just so amazing how clear the water is. Check this out, these little horseshoe crabs. It's pretty awesome. The American horseshoe crabs are considered to be living fossils, meaning they have existed nearly unchanged since the beginning of time, well even before dinosaurs existed. Yes, a textbook will tell you over 4 million years, but I am a creationist, taking the Earth's origin as biblically stated, which dates the Earth much, much less, at almost 7,000 years old. Yep, drastic difference, I know, but looking at the Bible as a whole, taking into account biblical prophecy timelines that have already happened based on world history and the genealogy of Adam to Jesus and then the cross to our present day, 7,000 years makes more sense to me than modern dating methods that do also use a guess starting date. So in a way, it's a step of faith as well. So I'll take my step of faith with the biblical outline. And of course, I have mad respect for anyone who believes differently. I'll leave some links in this video's description if you're ever interested on looking at any of that further. So this is the farthest point that I got with the rocks around this side. Just going to check it out. Lots of crown conchs around this area too. Let's take a closer look at this guy. You can't even tell the color of its shell. It's so mossy. There's its foot, and that is the operculum, and the front of the shell where the siphon is sticking out. So this would be actually the posterior, the rear of the shell, even though when we find them empty, it looks like the top, excuse me, the top or the front of the shell. Let's take a look at the underside. That's so cool. It's closing up just withdrawing in the shell. And eventually, if I held them long enough, the operculum would be the only thing you would see. It can retract fully in its shell. Let's check out this little bubble that was next to it. Now, I don't know what that little something is, so we'll just leave that. If I don't know what it is or think something else is alive on it, I will just leave it. Oh, wow. Here's one completely engulfing another one. So I guess these are cannibalistic as well. You can see that mantle area, foot area is completely engulfed another crown conch. Oh, wow. Okay, I'm not going to bother it for too long, but that is a pretty shell. Look at those spikes. That's a beautiful one. Oh, there will be a vacant shell in a little bit. We'll just put that back down. We'll see what it looks like under the water here in a minute. And let's see what else we can find under the water. Oh, and here is an empty one with one scuttling right alongside of it. All right, looks like it's got some decent spikes on it. Little something jammed up in there, but I think that's like a hard berry or something in there. Let's get a closer look. Oh, that's a really nice one, but it looks like something is still attached to it, so we'll go ahead and put that one back. All right, let's see what else we got going on. Got a lot of live ones. There's another one. Totally gotta be careful where I'm walking. Around the rock wall area, I didn't find too much different than what I did around the first little bend or area where I was finding all the mossy shells in the water. There's one attached to the rock on the bottom. And lots of oyster bits. These do eat oysters a lot. A lot of times commercial oyster beds they definitely will monitor the crown conchs around them because they can destroy commercial oyster beds and clams. I am really happy that I had this chance to get all this footage of them. Ooh, there looks like an empty one. And that one, let's check it out. I think that has some great spikes on it. Oh yeah, that has some really nice spikes. I love it when there's spikes on the top and the bottom. I think those are the prettiest variety. Got some barnacles on that rock. Let's see. Are you alive? You're spiky. And yes, there's one all closed up with only the operculum showing. So siphon, foot, all gets sucked or retracted back in the shell. Just one after the other. I did have to watch, especially careful. I morally just shuffled my way. Make sure I did not step on any clumps. There were a lot of, like you can see right here, a lot of bivalve. A lot of bivalve shells because the crowns eat them. So cute. Look at this little guy just scuttling along. I didn't see any bigger horseshoe crabs on this day, just these little small ones, but towards the end after our little shelling, man, I will show you some mating ones. So this is where my phone died, and I actually had to use Shalea's phone to record the wentletrap finds. So after looking in the water, we just sat down and started looking through all the piles of mini shells and completely shocked to have found these wentletraps. I found the brown banded wentletrap first. Couldn't believe it. I was like, that's not a wentletrap, is it? No, it is. And then after that, we just kept looking and we found lots of those white ones, which I believe those are the anglet wentletraps. Oh, another wentletrap? Hey, that's awesome. They're here. They're definitely here. So the wentletraps were basically sprinkled anywhere within these little mini wash-ups right by the river's edge. And right by the water's edge is where I usually will stop, of course, and pick up all the little crown conchs. Just lots of really nice dark ones, and sometimes there's bigger ones, but you got to venture out a little bit in the water to find the bigger ones. But all these little ones just, I mean, you can see there's tons of stuff just washed up here. I see some shark eyes. There's a lot. Diligent work, girl. Diligent work.
You found a great grandpa, great.
See, look at that. Shelling. It's a dirty business.
Okay, I don't want to be
It's not for the faint of heart. You have to get down and dirty with the bugs. Just found another one. Yeah, that one you can definitely see the brown. Yeah. The brown line. We really had fun finding those wentletraps. Here we are on another day. This was planned. We're like, let's go out and find wentletraps. It was cold and windy, so we didn't stay very long, but we did find a few. And we found tons of mating horseshoe crabs. Craziness. We had we saw a photographer that came down. He was taking pictures of the river. He had like a tripod and everything like that. We're like, are they mating? He's like, I think they are. So when I left here, I of course went back home and I looked up a horseshoe mating season. And here in Florida, it is year round, but it is most common in March and April, and then again in September and October. And the best time to see them is around high tide during a new or full moon. And it was high tide. I can't remember if it was a full moon or not, but the tide was high. And we saw lots of them. When we first got down to the river, I honestly thought they were dead. I was like, oh no, like I was thinking like red tide came to my mind at first, because I know there's been some incidences of red tide over on the West Coast. So I wasn't sure, but then I saw them moving around and kind of tagging on each other, and I'm like, oh my goodness, we didn't mean to interrupt you guys. We're just out looking for some wentletraps. Horseshoe crabs do nest in groups like this. The males, as you can see, attach to the females and fertilize their eggs. Females lay clusters of eggs in depressions in the sand. A female can lay several clusters in one evening and may spawn repeatedly over several nights. The eggs hatch in 2 to 4 weeks, and the hatchlings will dig up through the sand at high tide, allowing the waves to carry them out. Juvenile horseshoe crabs molt 3 to 4 times a year, and they spend most of their time on the sandy bottoms of intertidal flats or zones above the low tide mark. So we did see a few juveniles before just scuttling across the sand, and there are lots of molted crab shells around here, horseshoe crab shells. I found the big ones and the small ones around here. I brought a little one home for my shell case. That's so funny. All right, let's see, right there. Here is a little wentletrap. I wasn't finding them that easily on this afternoon, and Shalee's like, okay, just stop and just look. And I started finding more of them using her method. Lots of minis, and your eyes, I mean, you just got to train your eyes for these wentletraps. It did take me a little bit. Here is what I believe is a painted egg cockle. Very tiny guy. And here is a Tampa drill. Yes, we do have them over on the East Coast as of the late 1990s. They started showing up, particularly over here near the Banana River where we are. And this is a juvenile channeled whelk. Here is a dwarf olive, an auger, a sharp Nassau, and a thick lip drill. Here are the wentletraps that I found over a few different days. Shalay found a lot more. She just has the eye. These white ones I believe are the anglet, and those two brown ones are the brown banded. Here are the crown Conchs, some of the crown Conchs that I found in all the minis. And I found this little container on Amazon and thought, hey, that would be perfect to put all of these minis in. And the larger crown Conchs, I did go ahead and sell a set already in my Etsy shop, and I do have a listing for some of these smaller ones. So we'll see how that goes, and if it goes pretty good, I'll try to keep them in my Etsy shop. My friend Shalay also has an Etsy shop. I will leave that in this video's description, and she has a YouTube channel as well, so check that out and give her some love and support over there. See, look at that. This is the cutest little shell container. I think I'm going to order another one. They display really well, and I just got the wentletraps in an angel wing. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you on our next beach walk, which will be exciting. I found an Atlantic deer calorie. All right, spoiler alert. Woohoo! In the meantime, I leave you with this.